Hey, thanks for showing up at the Smash team. We got way too much stuff to get to for any screwing around. Actually, there's a lot of screwing around, but no time to waste, so get right into this thing very quickly, as there is a lot of stuff to cover, to say the least. So here's the sun at 193 angstroms. And we just saw an uptick in the solar wind density. So hello, protons. Coronal holes associated with the South Pole and one near the equator. Let's look at another custom view here. And this is 9 hours and 15 minutes worth, 171 angstroms. We're going to be covering everything from mustaches to Walter Payton, so should be an interesting video today, folks. Here's the sun in 171 angstroms. That's again 9 hours and 15 minutes worth. Still see a little activity over there, as well as it looks like a new bit of activity popping up facing the Earth. How about the colored magnetogram? And that's very close to the equator. And why isn't it playing? Let's try again. Load all the images, and yeah. Let's try the non-colored magnetogram. All right. Okay, it's not giving me 9 hours and 15 minutes worth. Looks like a little bit of activity is forming there. Go back to the 100. Actually, let's go to 94 angstroms. There we go. So a little activity there. We'll look at it further in a moment. Show you a zoom in on that spot. Not a sunspot, but a little bit of activity, something to watch throughout the day. Speaking of watching throughout the day, here's a solar wind. And we just saw an uptick to over 20 protons per cubic centimeter, right at the same time that the phi angle drops down toward the 180 mark, causing an increased risk for earthquakes. Solar wind speed still low at 305 kilometers per second. So it looks like this is the beginning of another coronal hole wind stream. Here are the magnetosphere movies. We're looking at the Earth from the side and top view from quite far out at 50 Earth diameters or something like that. Here's the density, and you see the result, the density pressing on the rear part of the magnetosphere there. Right about here, you can see on the equatorial plane view. And higher density around the bow shock region too. And here you'll see higher pressure. So it looks like a coronal hole wind stream about to hit. We'll expect to see the solar wind velocity rise and the solar wind density drop back down just after that. So there'll be one more spike probably with this, and then we'll have a increased wind speed for a period. And I have no idea what the period is because I can't see protons flying through space. Here are the magnetic perturbations. We'll just look at the globe view. As all of these views have the same data, they're just stretched out differently. And we see continued creep in the Canadian poles. You know, we've got 2 north poles for those of you folks who aren't aware. Do a web search for magnetic excursions. Currently have 2 north poles and 1 south pole, which is also creeping into the southern Indian Ocean where my cursor is. At smAsho.org, we're not doing any cursing, but we have a mission which is to assist, study, and report on the ongoing formation of a unified theory of physics, to raise the awareness of the general public of the relationship between space weather and Earth effects, to connect and consult with media to demonstrate cutting-edge solutions to problems, proof of concept ones, that is, to publish scientific papers to assist mankind. And there are 3 scientific papers in the works right now. To assist mankind by advancing the study of predictive phenomenon, to do things like optimize value and save lives and adapt no matter what the adversity is, and to not be ossified in our beliefs, and to treat those who are with love, respect, and inclusion to scientific discussion. I'm talking pretty fast, and eat your heart out, Ben Shapiro. Please support us on Patreon to ensure that the videos keep coming out. Thanks, patrons. If you weren't aware, folks, I do my own stunts. I started skateboarding in 3rd grade, around 1983 by my math, and did that nearly constantly for a solid decade. Of course, I didn't ride on wet days and things, but I skated a lot, let's just say. So follow us on Instagram. Follow me on Instagram, actually. There's some shenanigans going on there, such as yesterday's ride. I got somebody doing a 200-meter sprint, which I'll show you real quick so you see what that looks like. The ramp-up section. I have the audio turned off, and I can't advance this video because Instagram lacks functions. I've got a great image of Jan Spies.
Where'd you go?
Here goes Jan Spies of South Africa.
A little bit of tail in here, but you'll squeeze.
One of the faster times that we saw while I was there yesterday. I think he did a 10.4. There was a massive headwind in turn 1. Anyway, I'm going to talk cycling for a moment and comedy. And first, we're going to talk about Tony Hawk. There are links to the article if you want to read the whole thing, but you may be interested in what Tony Hawk's doing. This one's only published 4 hours ago, as we tend to report on things on this channel a little bit before most other folks. Just a wee bit. Anyway, Tony started skating in the 70s, and he was the first person who was legitimately, I guess, a pro skateboarder. Now 51 years old, he is still skating. And his investment in real estate as a teenager was his best decision. I guess CNBC's pumping real estate, whatever. Here's me racing in 1998 at the PA State Championships. I believe that's at Camp Mac Boy Scout Camp. Thanks, Ron and Mom. Thanks, Ron, for the hand-ups especially. Check it out. If you want to support the channel via CBDs, visit the link in the description to our affiliate, one of our affiliates, Lucid. If you want to sponsor the bike racing team, the current team, which is super badass, they just won the Madison, which is this event on the track where you arm sling your teammate. So there's a bunch of people riding at the same time in a chaotic fashion. And that was won by Christina Birch. Shout out Christina Birch and Kim Geist. Well done. Love the Instagram photos. We all do our own stunts. And some of us, now, as our regular viewers may realize, that I had a giant mustache for the first half of this channel's existence, Civil War style. So check out Ashton Lambie on Instagram, one of the fastest mustaches in the US. Talk about other athletes I like Walter Payton, who was awesome on and off the field and sadly died young of bile duct cancer, a very rare disease. Also, shout out to Dave Zabriskie, one of my favorite bike racers of all time. Here, huge comic book fan wearing his national champion gear when he was on Garmin Slipstream. Also, Fabian Cancellara, one of my favorite athletes of all time. This is him winning the 2009 World Championships in his home country of Switzerland by a time gap of nearly a minute and a half. He rode the final 500 meters with his hands in the air. Let's go back to Dave Zabriskie and play a little clip. As Dave Zabriskie is one silly guy, and that's one of the things that makes him so great. Let me play a clip. Oh, you can't hear it. All right. Try again.
But who had the first mustache?
All right. So there was controversy between Zabriskie, his teammate Steven Koza, and Pizzato about mustaches, as they're super important in the sport of cycling. Here's Steven Koza, and if you want that luscious picture, please visit the description below the video. There'll be a link to that. You could download it and make it your phone's desktop or something. I don't know why you would do something like that, but let me play this clip.
So there was a controversy early on about who had the first mustache. Yeah,
it was me. It was me.
First you said it was him.
Okay, I'll agree. It was Koza.
So you followed.
I can tell you who made us shave the mustaches. Pizzato.
Why did Pizzato make you shave the mustache?
Have you seen his mustache?
Is it a new one?
I saw one picture of it. It's not attractive.
So you guys looked at his and said, that's what we look like?
No, ours was pretty good, but then, he's trying to come into our world, so we had to get out of that world. Yeah.
So now that you're in your own world again.
Most of the time, yeah.
What's the next big thing for you guys? Will you stay clean shaven? Will you shave one eyebrow?
No, this month it's slowly gonna grow back in.
Really?
Everything, yeah.
You get all furry.
I mean, yes, the season continues, but technically it's the off season. Right? Like, going into the winter, I prefer to have some facial hair warmth.
In living in Utah, you need the insulation.
Yeah, I'd have to shovel the driveway and things.
Let the leg hair grow out.
Exactly.
Anyway, I would have played the actual clip that included that, but I couldn't find it again. So fortunately, I had the audio. Anyway, Zabriskie, hilarious, still involved in cycling. He's got some products that he sells, such as D's Nuts, one of the top chamois creams in the world. We've got links to other descriptions about mustaches and chipping away at Cancellara and so on. If you want to support the channel, you can do it via PayPal, via Patreon. You can support the cycling, like me personally, via GoFundMe. We're all the way up to 1% of the goal. And the campaign is going to end on the 21st. So 1 week from today. Is that a week from today? That's not a week from today. I'm temporarily challenged. Anyway, the GoFundMe is ending on the 21st because, frankly, I'm sick of it. Also, you can check out some original music, such as what we were playing earlier, at other sites listed in the links to the description. In the two links, the description, the links, the. Check out spaceweather.com. There was an insane sprite storm over China. Super weird. I've never seen anything like it. And I've never said I've never seen anything like it. So don't try to tell me that I sound like Mr. MBB333, a YouTuber with 300,000 plus subscribers last I checked. Anyway, this sprite storm, it looks like meteors and sprites. I don't know. Is this artificial? I mean, leave a comment. This awfully odd looking. Now this looks like a regular sprite. A super high altitude pink sprite, perhaps. Anyway, 10.7 centimeter radial flux is back to 70. Still well above predicted values, as we see some other features of cycle 25 in its infancy. Check out spaceweathernews.com. In fact, let me hit refresh because that X-ray flux may have just suddenly changed. You never know. You don't want to confuse what it says when you do show prep with what it says when you're doing the show. So anyway, there's the 1 minute data, totally flatlined X-ray flux. Again, we see that increase in the solar wind density and no increase yet in the speed. So that's probably going to increase today, as will the KP index when it does, perhaps, depending on how high the density stays, obviously. Magnetometer's got some perturbations here, some spikes. We'll look at the Gong 2 magnetic data in a moment, and it looks like the KP index is giving me the finger. You see very, very low electron flux levels, especially at the low density portion, as we've got two satellites, each making two measurements there, the GOES 14 and the GOES 15. Again, check out spaceweathernews.com for convenient links to all this stuff that you see before you. Nighttime side of the F2 layer is extremely discharged here. And don't get confused, it is the F layer on the nighttime side, but we're making the measurement at that altitude. And this one is courtesy of Australia Bureau of Bureau of Meteorology, as I attempt to speak the English language. All right. Aurora forecasts are still looking weak. Those could possibly suddenly change as magnets change with no warning. So now we're going to look at the line of sight ecliptic plane field plot here, because I want to show folks how the B field gets moved around as a result of activity on the surface, like those plages. Now, when the sun's at a totally inactive state, that blue line will be almost flat. And now you see it looks like a sine curve there. Again, this one's showing you the B field only as a single line in order to show more detail for the North Pole associated and South Pole associated portions of the current sheet. Anyway, there are the date stamps. As we've been getting some questions from folks about what this stuff means, let me just reiterate that these data come from about 50 ground-based magnetometers on Earth, as well as stereo A and stereo B seen on the left and right of the screen, respectively. So we see that magnetic perturbation that got delayed there. I was expecting that to be happening yesterday at this time. So as you can see, magnetism is extremely hard to predict, forecast, soothsay, whatever you want to call it. And let's move on to stereo A. I'm going to refresh this because it's just easier than going to the calendar. Clicking on things is very labor intensive, folks, which is why I use as many keyboard shortcuts as possible. And you should too, as that one just failed. A great demonstration as I fail. Anyway, we see pulsations on this plasma plume here, and this is associated with the setting of that plage, possibly as well as the formation of a new active region. So we're going to look at it a little closer on 171 angstroms in a bit. First, let's look at where the planets are. There's where you're located, hopefully. If you're viewing the video from a different solar system, please leave a comment. Here's where things will be in 1 week. As we approach full moon and Saturn, having recently had a conjunction with Jupiter, or an opposition. I don't know what it's called. I don't care. Anyway, here's what's going on above my head right now. Actually, there we go. That's a little more accurate. Civil twilight. Saturn's about to set. Venus just rose. Man, if you've got a low horizon in the eastern U.S. or the central U.S., perhaps, check out Venus. It's going to be spectacular. Let's look at cosmic rays. First at Apatity, located very far north, near Svalbard, if I remember correctly. And there's Barentsburg. No real noteworthy things happening there. Let's look at Athens, much farther south in Greece. Nothing interesting there. Mexico City. We did see an odd downtick there. That looks like it might be some sort of a data anomaly. Not sure. Not going to conjecture any more than that. And Moscow's been remaining at a relatively high level here recently. Here's Oulu, Finland, and 2 Antarctica monitors. There's Oulu first, and there's DOMC, and there's DOMB. So cosmic rays are looking pretty steady right now. Again, the 10.7 centimeter radio flux, which is a measurement of the sun's outer corona, is at 70. If you want to follow us on other social media, or if it makes it easier for you to share our videos with your friends, check us out on Facebook, facebook.com/smAshomash, Twitter, twitter.com/smAshomash, gab.com/smAshomash. I do plan to use this one a bit, as I refuse to use Twitter, and perhaps this is an appropriate alternative. Maybe I will get involved there eventually when I have time. And I don't know what we're looking at here. This is minds.com/groups/Vietnam or something. I don't know what's up with that. And I don't even know where this theme came from, but it looks awesome. Check out minds.com/smashomash, the social media site that won't censor you, which is why we have 454,658 views. And man, be careful with this one, folks. There is a lot of not safe for work content, which tends to be flagged. It puts you on a splash screen to prevent too much atrocity from appearing on your screen. But to give up something, you must get something else, right? So give up some time and press subscribe and like. We lost, looks like 11 subscribers since yesterday. Maybe they were mad about global warming, about how the globe's not warming. Pretty sure we lost 11 subscribers. Can you verify? Just kidding. I know you can't verify. Let's do an earthquake rundown as quickly as possible to make this video as short as possible. Here's a 4.5 in China, 4.1 in Chile. A deep quake at 3.6 there at Alaska. Small quake in Hawaii. Shout out Hawaii and Hawaiians. If you live on an island, please leave a comment. So a series of small quakes here. 4.5 at Honduras. That's on the, I guess that's the Central American plate boundary. Here's a 4.6 at Indonesia. 4.4 at Ecuador at depth. Heads up for a larger quake at the surface there. 5.2 at the Pacific Antarctic Ridge. Pretty rare spot. Even more desolate than Easter Island. Middle Eastern quakes continue with a 4.2 in Iran. Shout out Middle East. 4.6 south of Kamchatka. We've seen a lot of activity there recently. 5.2 at Pakistan. Seeing Middle Eastern quakes nearly every day. And a 4.4 at the Central East Pacific Rise. Quiet for the last couple hours. Global warming update. The globe is so warm and Greenland is so melted that it has 9 feet of ice from coast to coast. If you want to argue about it, please leave a comment as I'm viewing the chat right now. Thanks everybody for joining. Harry, Keebler, Collagen. A little background. When I first saw Collagen, I was wondering if she was a plastic surgeon because I thought it was collagen. It wasn't collagen. It's just from Colorado. Eden. The video keeps freezing. Oh man, I've been having major playback problems, having trouble viewing my own content, folks. Having trouble viewing my own content. It's pretty crazy. By the way, that flag says more than 5 meters of snow there, as the graph is maxed out at 9 feet. The entire Greenland island. Almost the whole thing, except a couple small spots on the coast with 9 feet plus of snow. It's been very, very cold here. Yesterday, there was a forecast high of 78 degrees. It was about 50 when I got on the bike, and it was super windy as a massive high pressure front came in. And I did about 42 miles, and it felt like about 62 miles because I was getting buffeted. Fortunately, I was prepared for it, and I didn't try to fight the wind. If you're a cyclist, don't try to fight the wind. You'll lose. The wind will kick your ass. Take names, and it will laugh at you. The only thing you can do is get as aero as possible and try to conserve energy. Anyway, it looks like Texas is about to get a respite, and there's probably some great surf in the Gulf of Mexico. If I were there, I'd be surfing. Guaranteed. Oh my gosh. That is what surfing dreams are made of, folks. Although there probably is not an inland wind. That is a wind headed toward the coast. For those of you who don't understand surfing, you want the wind to be blowing in, to make the waves steeper, typically. Whew. A lot of rescue personnel frown on people surfing, but don't rescue me. Again, I started skateboarding in 1983, so my spatial skills are a little bit different than most. See some rowdy lightning over southern Mexico. Shout out to lightningmaps.org. If you're in Puerto Escondido, you're about to hear thunder. And the next time you hear thunder, check out lightningmaps.org. It might save your bacon. Maybe you'll predict a power outage. Who knows? Extreme heat warnings, according to weather.gov. And if you're located where my pointer is, that's some kind of gale warning. And gale watch, gale warning, high seas, etc. If you're on a boat with Mark Wahlberg and George Clooney there, please take all safety into consideration, as you don't want to see a hunk drown. It's the last thing you want to see. Hunks don't look any better than anybody else when they drown. Let's look at this convergence over Texas from 2 different angles. Everything's so much bigger in Texas that you can't even see both storms with one view. There's one convergence zone. And, oh, sorry, Texas. Looks like you're not getting a respite. This other storm moving in the wrong direction. moving from north to south. So if you see a storm coming in from a strange angle, don't be surprised. Shout out to North Central Texas. If you're there, please leave a comment. Maybe share the video on your social media so we are slightly less shadow banned. Shout out to Eric Schmidt for trying to ruin the internet. Let's look at this one also, as it makes me want to don a wetsuit and get in the water. All right, let's move on, as this video is getting too long. More extreme weather all around the world. 300,000 evacuating in tropical cyclone Vayu. Brutal hailstorms hit Germany. Munich, actually, one of the worst hailstorms on record, causing all kinds of crop losses, undoubtedly, as there is a lot of farming going on in Bavaria. Again, Cinnabung erupted a couple days ago to 55,000 feet, producing a stratospheric level volcanic ash injection for the whole world to enjoy. 55,000 feet worth of global warming goodness as volcanoes make the planet colder. Here's Kluchaskoy back on the list with a 17,000 foot plume there. Here's Shivaluch, 13,000 foot plume there. Takono, 8,000 foot plume there. So it's a volcanic uptick. Popocatépetl with some new emissions, although ash not detected. Ravenador back on the list. Sabancaya back on the list. 27,000 foot plume at Sabancaya. And a new eruption started yesterday at Piton de la Fournaise on La Réunion. At least 4 eruptive fissures with lava fountaining opened on the south-southeast slope. A seismic crisis heading the rapid advance of magma toward the surface was registered at 6:03 local time, meaning the eruption gave only 30 minutes of final warning. However, elevated seismic activity and inflation during the past 2 weeks had preceded the eruption as a precursor. Check it out. Oh, man. Effusive eruption at Piton de la Fournaise. Oh, I wanted to see the photo close up. Anyway, I'm not going to zoom in on it, but check out volcanodiscovery.com if you want to read more about that. And we've moved on to the that's your ass and that's a hole in the ground section. Find a term, algorithm. Big tech thinks an
algorithm
should control your fate. Big tech thinks an
algorithm
is able to censor you on the internet. Big tech doesn't understand how to write an
algorithm.
Otherwise, they would be able to ruin the internet. Sadly, there are a lot of people smarter than big tech writing a better
algorithm,
preventing them from ruining the internet, doing things like using open source technology. So transcribe that, Google. I don't know what difference it's going to make. Let's just say that we're not a fan of algorithms. And we've had problems with Google's algorithms, Facebook's algorithms. If you think our channel makes money on YouTube, think again. We make absolutely zero on YouTube. And let's not spend another day defining the term imbecile or deodorant or economics or ignorance. Let's talk about retirement. What happened to Lenin when Lenin retired? Lenin became a wax mummy figurine in a glass case in, I guess, in Moscow. I don't know where it is. This grim reminder of the specter of communism and the USSR has been getting more and more waxy looking throughout the years as it sits in a glass case with a red light above it. Great idea, USSR. Please put this abomination underground or something. Here's a hilarious article on Reuters. Uber picks Melbourne as test site for flying taxi service. And we are talking about self-flying taxis, I believe. I can't imagine how there'd be any problems with that. I'm sure it'll be bug free. As I'm sure the folks watching this video have seen software failures, since you're required to use the internet in order to view the video, especially since it's only currently streaming onto YouTube. So anyway, let's get back to this. They're electric on-demand air taxis that can be ordered through smartphone apps the same way Uber's road-based taxi services are hailed. Their planned fleet includes jet-powered vehicles, electric jet-powered vehicles, part helicopter, part drone, and part fixed-wing aircraft, running multiple small rotors capable of both vertical takeoff and landing, and rapid horizontal flight. It will begin test flights of the pilotless aircraft in Melbourne and U.S. cities Dallas and Los Angeles in 2020. So stay tuned for that one, folks. That's going to be hilarious. Now, I've gone conditioner shopping because I want to get some really good smelling conditioner just in case I'm at a photo shop. I showed a photo op standing in front of Joe Biden, as I want my hair to smell as good as possible. I mean, if I could be afforded the honor of having Joe Biden sniff my hair, I could think of no other photograph to get made into a car wrap or a billboard size oil painting or something. If I could, Joe, I'm growing my hair out. Please come to the live stream. I'll let you smell my hair, and I'll interview you about policies that you were for, and then against, and then for, and then against, and all kinds of other stuff, and let you promote yourself. I'll even let you talk about how you promised to cure cancer if elected. Oh, sorry, Newhart. I didn't mean to have that dry of a sense of humor. Let's talk about climate change. Here's a graph of the last 15,000 years. Please show your friends. Just type in climate change over 15,000 years. This is the Minoan warm period when it was 3 degrees C warmer than it is now. Here's the Roman warm period when it was 3 degrees C warmer than it is now. Here's the Viking warm, where it was 1.5 degrees warmer than it is now. And here's the medieval warm, when sea levels also were higher as they were in the Minoan warm period. And here's the current, quote, warming, end quote. There it is. Let me zoom in. Oh, okay. The average temperature of the Earth in the past, I don't know, million years is like down here somewhere, fully glaciated. See the Milankovitch cycles? These are the Milankovitch cycles right here, where my pointer is. Let's look up Milankovitch cycles. Anyway, here's the last 500 million years of climate change. And if you think CO2 warms the planet, here's a comparative graph of CO2 and temperature over the past 600 million years or so. You would note that the average CO2 was probably more around like 1,800 parts per million. So I don't know why you would flip out about 410 parts per million when plants stop growing at about 380 parts per million. So please burn a tire or something today and increase your carbon footprint. I implore you. Let's see if I can get the colored magnetogram to play on an MPEG. And I don't like the looks of this, but let's try it anyway. Let's see if it works. Come on, Winamp. Oh, there we go. All right, excellent. So there's the colored magnetogram. I wanted to get a view of, it's not going to really loop. Well, maybe it will loop. Winamp's pretty good like that. Come on, please loop. All right, it's going to keep minimizing. I got to shrink it down. I apologize. I don't usually use MPEG movies. They're a little on the junky side. It's really just a series of images. Ugh, come on. All right, Winamp, I've had enough of you. You are out of here. You're fired. Winamp, you're fired. All right, so thanks for tuning in, everybody. This video is about complete. I'm just going to bring up the track that I was playing in the first place. Go through the chat and call it a day. As there is still a lot of stuff to do. Let's go to magnetic lines real quick. We'll use this as a thumbnail. 94 angstrom view. As we see that little tiny area of activity popping up there, located right where my pointer is. And I think we have too many tabs open. Oh my gosh, cupped and she can't take anymore. She's coming apart. Yeah, we're not going to put up with a carbon tax. What do you want me to look at in Newcastle, Australia, Harry? I cannot operate the size of the screen, folks. All right, we are out of here. Thanks again for tuning in. Thanks, donors, especially. Visit the links in the description. We appreciate it. Cheers, everybody. Have a delightful day. Thanks, Smash team, Smash staff, donors, subscribers. Please press like and subscribe if you haven't done so. And remember, when you're staring at the sun, don't drink it. If you drink, stare at the sun. Just don't drive. And since it'll never be now again, may the solar wind be at your back and the atherosclerosis absent from your veins.